Alrighty, I'm making a new 2x72-inch belt grinder. This is an old worn out belt. My current belt grinder is a 1/4 horsepower, but over here I found a 2 horsepower motor at the junkyard. It was off of a pressure washer. A lot of times when people throw away pressure washers or air compressors, the pump for the air or the fluid or the water or whatever is shot. The motors are still good. So I found this 2 horsepower, 110 volt motor, and these wheels here that I have on here right now, here's a pair to it. They're side by side, kind of like that, on a jack. And someone tried to move the jack or move the implement when it was down all the way, and it bent the frame of it, so they threw it away. Well, the wheels are still good, and as you can tell, they're perfectly 2 inches wide. So this one, it's got some chips out of it and some nicks and stuff like that, so I'm not going to use this one. I am going to keep it for a spare, but this one is good to go. So I've already kind of started working on this. I've done just a few things on it, and I'll do a quick run through of what I've done, and then I'll start recording from now on each step I do make, because I get halfway through making something, I'm like, hey, let's record it. So what I've done here is this is an aluminum pulley that was the same shaft diameter as that. And what I simply did, as you can tell, I took a hacksaw, because it's aluminum, it cuts fairly easy. It took me like 3 minutes. And I cut it out to fit that. And then the little slot there for the plastic wheel, as you can see back in there, I had to grind a little bit until everything would fit. I just took a hacksaw file blade, just the blade, and I cut that out and used a file to clean it up a bit. But it runs pretty good and it's pretty solid. And then it was bolted to a base. I took that base off and put it right here. What I did is, as you can see, my awesome wheel jobs in there, welded it upside down on the table so it's nice and flat. These are, I'm thinking 1 inch by 2 inch square tubing. We had scrap. Someone made a tailgate out of it, bent the tailgate, took it off. So bam, that is going to be the bottom base of the grinder. To keep this really cheap, I went to the parts store. As you can see, bumper to bumper on the bag here. And these are idler pulleys for a pickup or any motor. And they have really nice bearing. Since they are for a motor, they are designed to spin at 3,000 RPMs. That is slightly slower than what that motor's rated at. The motor's rated at 3,400. But they will work. So I got these idler pulleys, and they're only 1 inch wide. What I've done on my old grinder is I had 2 metal ones, which are like, they're worn out in a pickup, but they're $30 a piece. These here plastic ones are, I think these were like $8 a piece. They're really cheap, but they spin really easy, new bearings. So all I'm going to do is kind of bolt them side by side, you know, put the shaft in the middle there, and just pretty much grind this rib off the center. I have two 3 inches and 2 inch and 3/4 different radiuses on my blades. Now the hole in the center is massive. So I got these, they're like something like 25 cents a piece. They are really super cheap. They're aluminum, and they're little bushings that fit on the inside. And looking at it here is I'm gonna have to take a rubber hammer, wooden block or something, and press those down in there. I'm gonna be very careful and not to mess up the bearing itself. But that way I can have a smaller bolt. But what I'm gonna do is have these 2 bolted side by side. This is the next step. Have these 2 bolted side by side, and have these 2 top ones up above it, probably more like this. And I'll have my platen in the middle, and then I want this, I saw a guy, he designed it to where they pivot, to where that way you can get better radiuses. So that is the next step I'm going to work on. So to make that be able to pivot, I got this here flange from a pipe that someone previously cut it off, threw it away. So what I'm going to do is, I like where this hole's at. Where's this hole? Looks like it doesn't matter. So I'm going to cut this hole here and this bottom hole, and then weld a piece of strap iron in the middle here, so that way this hole will be the main support, and then I could do a slight angle or go the other way and another slight angle. Later on I might put holes right here and right here. I'll see how it looks, but I don't want to cut it with a torch. I want it to look nice and pretty, so we are going to have to do a hillbilly chop saw, table saw thing. So safety warning now. Warning, the following use of tools and equipment are not recommended. The following techniques are performed by an experienced idiot. Do not try this at home. Hell, don't even do this at work. Ah, shit. What is doing that? Man, that's on there. Ha! Got it. That came out just right. Alrighty, so this is what we got. Now, it is warm. It can sit for like 10 minutes too. I don't know what's going on. Okay, bam, better. So what we're going to do is we're going to tomorrow drill a hole here in the center and over here, so that way we can put the little wheel there, put the big wheel up here. The center hole will be the first, because this would be where the belt's at. The center hole, this thing's heavy, will be the main base pivot point for the arm. And then back here, these holes I already pre-cut or pre-drilled will be the angle, so I can change the angle of it. And hopefully I can get by with just one bolt in here for these little wheels. If not, I want to put in a little spacer and another piece of strap iron, probably a hell of a lot thinner, because that is like 3/8. That's like 3/8, and this is like a quarter, and it weighs like 10 pounds. This is going to be a heavy grinder, but make it heavy, it won't fall apart. And so I'm going to work on that tomorrow, because as you can tell by the massive sprayer in the background, I'm at work. I'm doing this on my lunch break. And also, I don't have a welder or a chop saw. Sorry it's loud. I have a forced air heater running. I'm making a new cat house with farm cats. Sorry about the noise. But I have this bushing here, so I can figure out what size the drill bit to use. And it's small. I'll probably do a pilot hole, this one here, and go up to the bigger one. Keeps biting. It's ripping through. You can see it poking. It's always the hardest part. Ah! Bam! Shazam! It ended up being a 7/16 hole. The shaft size for those bushings I got was a 15/32. We don't have 15/32, so I went with a 7/16. If it's too sloppy, then I'll go custom order some special bolts or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Alright, the next thing I want to do is put these little bushings in here. Easiest way to do that is to find another shaft the size of the bearing, or just grab a socket. So I got the shop anvil. I'm gonna try to tap that in there. And hope I don't break it. That taps in fairly easy. Bam! Go, guy, go! Oh, man! Oh, it's a new record. Made it all the way to the dirt pile. Alright, now get back to work. So all I'm going to do, put the bolts back on, mount this thing back to its base, and then figure out the distance I need from my arm to that jig I made yesterday. I guess I should have set this in here first. By just using the base it came with, I have roughly 1/4 of an inch of play. If I need to fine tune, adjust it later on, I can even kind of adjust the angle just a little bit. Hopefully I don't need to. I'm trying to do this as professional as possible because my current grinder I have to keep adjusting with a hammer. And I don't want to do that anymore. Where's my belt? Here it is all bolted together. And actually looking at it, I don't really like that. I might have to move this bolt back to here so it's a little more flush, but I don't know yet because actually you look at it, this one's not even flush either. But that doesn't matter because the jig will be from this side and I'll be able to move it in and out and up and forward and stuff like that. So that's roughly what it'll be, and then I'll have another wheel about right here. So what I really need to do is grab a tape measure. Can't find my clamp. Ah, here it is. That roughly lines up. So tape measure is right there. 6 inches to the top. So 6 inches plus 3 inches. Oh, this is a one. I was wrong. The outside diameter of the square tubing is 1.5 by 3. 1.5 by 3. I don't know. I just find scrap iron. So this is what I found. This is an old dealy majigger. These two arms here are roughly 20 inches. So cut that in half. It's 10 inches. I needed 6 inches tall, 3.5 inches for the dealy. So that's 9.5. So we'll go to 10. So hard part is these are so rusted, these pins, that I'm going to have to do some more dangerous chop sawing. And then this pin is welded to this side, so I'm going to have to skin it. So remember, don't do this. Ta-da!